What's up? And welcome to Forte Catholic Radio. This is your host, Taylor Sroll. It's great to be here with you today. Our first show after Christmas. I hope that you all enjoyed your holiday, that you ate way too much, and that Santa brought you everything you could possibly imagine. Most years, I just get underwear and t-shirts. So I hope your Christmas was better than a lot of my years. But then again, I deserve to get coal, so I'll take the underwear. So this is Forte Catholic. We were recording a couple days before Christmas, actually. This is very confusing. Talking about the day after Christmas. I know. I don't have a very high IQ, but I think we're going to be able to get through it. We're recording in the Red Sea Radio Galactic Studios in College Station, Texas at St. Mary's Catholic Center, which is usually just bustling with students. But now that it's Christmas break, us and our kids are the only people in the entire building. And there was a lady getting married. We'll get into it. But before, you know how at the beginning of the Bible, the Lord says, let us make man in our image. And you're reading that, and you're like, what the heck's he talking about? You're just a dude, right? And because we don't understand the Trinity at this point. Well, I also said us at the beginning of this radio show. And most of the time it's just me and Sam hanging out every now and then. But there is a royal we. No, that's the opposite. Royal we is just like one person talking. I just need to shut up and let you guys talk. We have the hosts of the Salt and Light podcast in studio today for our first two segments. How are you guys doing here on this beautiful, dreary afternoon? Annie, we'll start with you.
We are super excited to be here. This is the first time we met in person. We've just been social media buddies.
You'll be tired of me after this.
Oh, I immediately took that personally. I wasn't good enough.
But that's okay. He immediately knows that I have a face for radio, so it didn't take very long.
You do have a face for radio, and you're stealing my jokes. Who are you?
I'm your older brother with less hair.
Your older brother, my older brother with less hair. I always wanted an older brother. It's really hard to have less hair than me, but you have somehow pulled it off.
I have figured that out, brother.
Congratulations, sir. What's your name?
Chuck with the Salt and Light podcast. I'm glad that I brought the smart side of the equation for sure.
Oh, I don't know. You pretend to be a little dumber than you actually are.
Well, no. One of the things, when we got here earlier, he's like, Chuck, I'm not sure if you're as much of an idiot as you are on the show. Yes, you are. You figured that out right away.
So I learned something today. Well, you run the Salt and Light podcast. I knew that. I've talked to y'all about it. We have become social media friends. We've listened to each other's shows. We've kind of gotten to know each other without ever meeting. Today, we got to hang out. Y'all came to our house this morning. Our kids are getting along. I think our kids are like downstairs. My poor wife.
Your wife is a saint. There is no question.
I know.
She's 5-on-1 right now.
Canonization is very close.
I mean, all she had to do was marry me, and you're like, oh yeah, that is suffering.
That ticks some boxes.
Yeah, for sure. So she's downstairs with all of our children. We're up here recording not only this episode, but I'm going to do an episode with you guys as well. So we're having fun. This is like, we've done this before on the show, where like Arrow and the Flash on the CW.
The crossover.
It's the crossover week.
This is the crossover. So before we get into anything serious, if you had a superpower, what would it be, Chuck?
Oh, I get to go first?
You do. You have to go first.
I would be able to stop time.
Stop time.
Because you could stop time, go do whatever you want, and then start it back up whenever you want. It was like Hiro Nakamura from the show Heroes a couple years ago. Amazing.
Say the cheerleader. Say the world. I love that show so much. All right, Annie, what would you?
Yeah, but that was the worst, because once they saved the cheerleader, the show went down the drain because there was nothing left to do.
They saved the world. They did it.
That was it. But then they tried to keep going.
Save the cheerleader, ruin the show.
They did it. Annie, what about you? What would your superhero
hers
power
is
be?
boring. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you, sir. I'm going to mute your mic.
It is. It's super boring. I don't pretend to be very interesting, but it would be, how it would be Flash's ability, because he can read really, really, really quickly.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That just happened.
Chuck, I take it back. I'm now muting Annie's mic, and you and I are going to talk for the next 30 minutes.
Told you.
So, yeah, introduce people, if they're listening to the show today and they haven't heard the Salt and Light podcast, what is it? First, let's just start there. What is the Salt and Light podcast? People download it on iTunes or wherever they can find it. What do you guys cover every week?
It's a Catholic couple's perspective on lots of different topics. Chuck and I come from very different backgrounds, and so we try to talk about relevant issues, but always have a biblical undertone, or I should say overtone, and always try to leave you with having learned something about either apologetics or Bible history or Chuck's favorite phrase, the totality of salvation history.
Yeah, that's like a and just so anybody knows, she's definitely the brains of the operation, and
People have been listening for 4 minutes, and they know that already.
Does not take long. She already used the word totality. We play a drinking game. Every time she says totality of salvation history, I need to take a drink.
Yeah, usually there's some sort of cocktail involved.
Yeah, I always drink in moderation until I listen to y'all's show. I'm just kidding, Mom. I always drink in moderation.
Julia Child says everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yes, she does.
My head just exploded.
Yeah, Chuck's usually drinking bourbon. I usually have a margarita.
Unless
we have
really
colds and he's double sniffing, and then he has tea.
It's a problem. No, what's funny is that Annie is in all seriousness, an amazing. She has a great outlook on what outlook on what should be interpreted. Both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, does a really good job of really bringing that together. And it's a great way to spread it out to many, many, many people. She's done a lot of talks and spoken a lot of groups and does a great job with it. And it's a good vehicle to be able to really spread the word in that way.
Y'all are a lot of fun. I don't listen to too many Catholic podcasts continuously. I've kind of dabbled in a couple. I'm like, I don't know if this really sits with me. Y'all are one of like 4 or 5 that I've actually listened to like multiple, 10, 15 episodes of. I don't even know how I found you guys. I honestly have no idea. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, how did I find you guys?
It was through a mutual friend, a good friend of ours, Dean Willett.
Oh, okay. So Dean came on the show.
Yeah, he introduced us and he was like, you guys should, listen to Chuck and Annie, and I don't know, for some reason you listen to good Dean.
Good old Dean. He came on the show. He's fun, man.
I love Dean.
He came on the show back, dozens of episodes ago. We got the whole track coach thing in common. Yeah, he came on and talked about marriage, ironically enough. So my first episode I listened to of you guys was episode 3. Because Dean, I don't remember any of this even now, but I don't remember what I had for breakfast. So y'all did an episode on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
And y'all took, it said Guardians of the Galaxy ... and God. And I was like, all right, I might like these people. Because first of all, that anytime you use ... in the podcast title, it's got to be something good. Like you can't use the ... incorrectly or I won't listen to you. Y'all used it very, very correctly.
Okay, good. That's a plus.
Second of all, we here on our show, like we talk about faith and culture and like what is true, good, and beautiful in the world, period. And then what does that have to do with the church? So like, Guardians of the Galaxy, it has things that are true, good, and beautiful. If I remember correctly, y'all even talked about this idea on that podcast. And I was hooked. And I've been listening ever since. And I've been getting to know you guys from your laughing together, your bickering at each other on the radio.
No, I wouldn't call it bickering at each other. It's her bickering at me.
Okay, you are correct.
You give me a lot of material.
You know what? You're going to make me do something I've never done on my show. I recant. You are correct. It is. There was one time you poor man, you had a cold a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
And she just berated you for 25 minutes.
That's what happens.
I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating just a little bit.
Not much.
Not all that much.
No, we keep it real. There's really no editing on the show. We add a little intro music and outro music, but if Chuck's dropping coasters or our cat comes in and meows, or the kids are in the background, it's real. It's what it is.
Yeah, you seem like a very well put together man. I've been hanging out with you today. Oh. I don't know how you just lose it when you get in front of a microphone.
I'm a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. In many, many phases of my life, I'm a hot mess sometimes.
So, yeah, we were talking earlier. You brought it up. I like Annie has a ton of knowledge. Like, and I learned stuff the other day. There was a whole like, what day was Christmas actually on? I felt like Zach Galifianakis when he has like all those numbers over his head.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now? I have to be
Something's happening.
And like I told Annie this the other day before I even met you. So this was a bold thing to say. I was like, I feel like Chuck isn't as big of an idiot as he poses himself to be.
Yep.
And you keep saying that you're not. I've hung out with you today. Your IQ is at least 10 points higher than I assumed that it was.
Yeah, but you assumed it was 12. So that's still not helping me.
It's all right. You can say your name, and that's all we need here on Forte Catholic. So we barely got into you guys kind of bickering on the show. It happened once. That's all I can remember. So we're gonna talk a little bit, dive into y'all's life a little bit, and how you guys encounter God in your life. I mean, y'all are parents of 2 kids. You're married to each other, and I think only to each other, correct?
Yeah, last time I checked.
Okay, cool.
So?
Okay,
And the state checks too.
state checks too. So I want to ask you guys, because there are people that listen to the show who are married, who have kids. There are people who are 19 years old and think all of that is gross. But anybody listening to the show wants to grow in their faith.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like you wouldn't be listening to a Catholic radio show without calling in if you didn't want to grow in your faith. Call-in shows, you can call and berate the
Just
the
to
host.
be angry.
Yeah, we record early, so you can't call in. If you want to call, you can stay on hold for the entire hour that the show is on.
For many days.
You can do it. You can't leave a message either because there's no voicemail. Sorry. But I want to just ask you guys to share a couple of stories. Like, how have you guys grown in your faith through your marriage and through your kids? So let's start with your marriage. Chuck, we'll start with you.
Well, for me especially, Annie is so much. She's very learned. She's very deep and very, as far as everything to do with the Bible. But more importantly is that she lives it every day and has brought me around people that live it every day. I joke around because when we met, I was in the restaurant business, and people say you are who you hang out with, right? You are who you hang out with. And so I hung around a lot of servers.
So you were a hamburger.
And servers and
Chili's.
And
it was a fajita.
our lifestyle at the time just didn't really, God didn't come first. God just didn't come first in our lifestyle at the time. I always felt like I was too busy. I had too many things on my mind. And one of the great things about, even before we had kids, even before we were married, just being with people that put God first changes your perspective. That's really what it is. And it's not so much about being married as it is the community that's around you.
See, your IQ's higher than 22. It's fine.
Well, 61.
There you go. Annie, what about you?
We are not only parents of 2 little boys, but also business partners. So everything about our life is collaborative, and I think the fact that we're married is not just a piece of paper. It's not just cohabitation. There is power in sacramentality. I think it seeps deep into your soul, and if you allow it to, it allows your heart to dilate. It allows your soul to grow, and so everything that we do, I take our marriage very seriously. Those vows, that commitment, and so not just raising children, but like I said, being business partners together. There's a tremendous amount of trust in God that you have to have in order to, step out like that, and truly live in faith. And we were just talking about this last night when you had said, when Taylor, when you were talking about like what we were going to talk about on the show, and we had just recently went out on our own and started this new business, and it's really been an amazing learning opportunity, faith opportunity for me to continue to grow, because it's one thing to say that you trust God, and it's quite another to be forced into trusting God, right? You meet this precipice, and you can either run away and back away from the edge, or you can step off. And I was just describing to Chuck the other day, I feel like where we are in our faith journey is where I've chosen to step off of that precipice, but it wasn't like I fell and someone caught me. It's more like there was a stepping stone in front that's the same height as that precipice, but it's still over the abyss. And I just need to step onto that stone. And my whole, Chuck used to travel a tremendous amount. But now he's home with us, and he's home with us every single day, and we're working toward the same goal, and we're raising our boys, and we're growing in faith together, and all we have to do is stay on that stone. And I live in faith and confidence that the next day there's going to be another stone there, and all I have to do is step on it. So I think that's where we are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image because, like, as you were talking about the sacramentality of marriage, I'd say all the time, like, if it wasn't for the grace of the sacrament, I couldn't do this. Like, marriage is difficult, right? Like, having kids is difficult, and like being with one person, especially like you guys, y'all live together, you work together, like y'all are together all the time. I don't care who it is. If if they're the person you love the most in the world, if you're together with somebody 24/7
all the time, I'm just kidding,
years and years, dozens of years, right? Like that isn't possible without the grace of the sacrament. Like
you need it.
It's just not possible. So I think that's beautiful. We have about 2 minutes left before we need to take a break. Let's get started talking about what you guys are charged with getting your kids to heaven.
Yeah.
But sometimes they help you get into heaven, not by being super holy, but maybe being the opposite. So you have a story of how your kids have helped you grow in your faith, either by being angels or being the exact opposite.
Oh, geez, there's a lot of those. I'll tell you one is one of my favorite stories of all time. So my son is probably 4 years old at the time, maybe even 3. He could barely speak, and one day we're in the car driving, and he goes, "Dad, if God is our Father, right?" And I said, "Well, of course, Charlie, yeah." And he says, "So if God is my Father and you're my father, I don't have to listen to you anymore, right?" and Annie just looked at him and said, "Yeah, that's right, Charlie."
You just lawyered your father.
I just got lawyered. Yeah. No, but the number one thing I think that kids do is they expose you more to what true innocence and true goodness can be. That we become jaded as adults, and kids will expose you to that much quicker.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that you look into a mirror when you see your children and exposes your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I see a lot of, it exposes a lot of my own weaknesses, and I think it helps you grow in humility if you allow it to.
Yeah. So talk about looking in a mirror. I find myself every day yelling at my kids from across the house, "Stop yelling!" And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Right.
Dang it. This isn't working well. So we're going to take a break here. We're going to come right back here in just a few minutes. I am hanging out today with Chuck and Annie Fulkerson of the Salt and Light Podcast. You can find it on iTunes. Check them out. When we come back from the break, we're going to be playing a game where they're going to do one game together and then one game against each other to decide once and for all who is the light of the podcast and who is salty. This is Forte Catholic. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll, joined by the married couple from the Salt and Light Podcast, Annie and Chuck Fulkerson. If you're just tuning in, they talked about serious things in the last episode, or the last segment. So if you missed that and like that kind of stuff, you can always check out the podcast on fortecatholic.com, because now we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Sounds good to me.
It was about a year ago. A couple came in. The only other time I've ever had a couple come in to be on the show. They were a recently engaged couple. And I came in to have them come and talk about their experience of getting engaged and being engaged and what they're like, why they're excited about the sacrament of marriage, all this kind of stuff, right? That was the plan. We started talking about that. And then in the middle of the recording, and this is when the show was live, literally live on the radio, I go, "Oh, I have the greatest idea ever. We're going to play the Forte Catholic marriage prep game." And so we did. We had a marriage prep game, and I asked them they had to write down, I asked them a question, like, how many kids do you guys want? And they had to write down, and they did fairly well, actually. They had talked about these things, because I don't know how y'all's marriage prep work. My wife and I had to take a test where we had these similar kind of questions, and if you failed, you couldn't get married. I'm just kidding. That's not how it works.
Interesting.
But the one test I didn't fail. So we're not going to do that because obviously y'all are already married.
I'm married, and the answer would just be whatever she says. Hashtag winning.
Yeah.
Do whatever she tells you.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. We are in the midst of the Christmas season. So we're going to play a game called Synced Up. We're going to see how much you guys are synced up.
Oh.
We're going to play a competition game here in a few minutes where y'all are against each other. But first, I just want to build camaraderie first, and then just tear it apart in a few minutes.
Perfect.
Whenever we start playing against each other.
Brilliant.
Nothing tears apart camaraderie like marriage.
There we go. That's gonna be the title for the podcast. There it is. So Synced Up Christmas edition.
Oh.
I'm going to ask the hardest question first. Think of a word, and on the count of 3, say it. The goal is to say the same word at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Bacon.
Eggnog.
Bacon and hot dog?
Eggnog.
Eggnog. There
I
you
thought
go.
this was Christmas edition.
It is Christmas edition. Bacon is year-round.
Yeah. Bacon's not Christmas?
I was thinking of you for bourbon, so I gave you eggnog.
I went with bacon.
See, if you've listened to the Salt and Light podcast before, I would have said bacon. I am a better wife to Chuck.
That's right. Your beard gets
You
scratchy.
tripped me up with the Christmas edition.
I did. I'm just messing with you guys. So here we go. The Christmas edition of Synced Up. The category is Santa. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. Let's pull up some Christmas music while they're trying to answer. We used this a couple weeks ago, and it's a fantastic song, so I just want to use it again. So go ahead and get your pens out. There you go. Name one of Santa's reindeer. Remember, you're trying to write the same one. You get a point if you say the same thing. Oh my! Are you both left-handed?
Yes.
Stop the interview. We're leaving.
The only ones in our right minds.
This is
And blue eyes.
Oh my gosh! I don't even want to do this anymore. All right. What is something that Santa eats? The stereo in the song is amazing. It just like wobbles
awesome.
back and forth. Number 3, one word that describes him. One word that describes Santa Claus. All right, that is round 1. Annie, what did you say for number 1?
Rudolph.
Rudolph.
There you go. That is 1 point. Congratulations. We're going to see. The goal of this game is to stay in the positive.
Got it.
You now have 1 point. I'll take away a point if you get it wrong.
Got it.
So we're trying to
shooting
be
above par.
There you go. So you're plus 1 right now. What is something that Santa eats? Chuck?
Cookies.
I have cookies.
All right, 2 points. Congratulations. You can stay married. One word that describes Santa Claus. Annie?
I have fat.
Oh, jolly.
Jolly. It's funny because
I
I
was on the
describe
cookie
myself as
train.
jolly, but others describe me as fat.
Right,
So
right.
that
I
makes sense.
understand.
That makes sense. Our next one here, what are we doing? Is songs.
Okay.
A Christmas song about bells. I'm just dancing now. A Christmas song about snow. And a Christmas song about Santa Claus. Chuck, we'll start with you. A song about bells.
Jingle bells.
Yeah, Jingle Bells.
Jingle bells. Okay, good.
I'm still trying to think about a song. Oh, wait. Okay. I was still trying to answer the third question. I couldn't figure out a song about
And she's
Santa
the
Claus.
smart one.
Well, we're about to find out. A song about snow, Annie.
Let It Snow.
Let it snow.
There you go. 3 points. A song about Santa, Chuck.
Here comes Santa Claus.
I have Santa Claus is coming to town. Is that the,
No, there's 2 different songs.
2 different
Sorry.
songs.
Annie, you lost your team of points. I'm just kidding. The category is now trees.
Trees.
Christmas trees. of
Got
course.
Christmas trees.
What you put on top of a tree. What you hang on your tree. Elsewhere on the tree. What you hang on the tree. A food item you hang on the tree. That's the third question. What you put on top of a tree, what you hang on your tree, and a food item you hang on your tree.
Okay.
Chuck, we'll start with you.
Star.
Star.
Okay. No angels, huh? Heathens.
Well-
Heathens.
I could tell you the story about the angel someday.
Yeah, that'll be next week
It'd be tough.
when you're not on the show. Okay, so I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hashtag burn.
Hashtag burn.
Annie, what do you hang on your tree?
Ornaments.
Ornaments.
Okay. Well, a food item, Chuck.
Candy cane.
Yeah, I was going to put candy cane, but you've been so insistent on putting popcorn on the tree that I put popcorn.
Oh, come on.
He's
Why are you
for
putting
3
popcorn on the
years.
tree?
He's wanted to string popcorn and hang it from the tree.
I only say that because you say it's terrible, and I think it'd be funny to watch you get angry at the children trying to do it.
He thinks that this would be a good idea to have a 5-year-old and a
When you
3-year-old
said
with
angry
a
at the
needle and
children.
popcorn.
When you said angry at the children, I thought you meant it was going to be your idea, but you were going to blame it on the children. The kids did it.
The kids will think it'll be fun.
All right, we got one last one. Christmas movies.
Oh,
The best one.
oh.
Mine's Jingle All the Way. Hands down. Not even close.
That's not mine.
I know it's not yours. Not anyone else's but mine. Number 2, the biggest classic movie. The biggest classic Christmas movie. And number 3, a children's Christmas movie. Technically, if you read this, from a certain point of view, like the Jedi like to say, the answer could all be the same movie if you wanted it to.
It actually very well could be.
It could be. All right. So y'all are 3 in the positive. You can only be a neutral married couple after this.
Got it.
Or positive.
Okay, good.
So Annie, let's start with you. The best Christmas movie.
Christmas Carol.
Die
no, he's going to say Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, of course he is.
Die Hard. It's the best Christmas movie ever.
Right after she answers, she remembers the rules of the game.
Yes.
The rules of the game isn't to be right, it's to agree with the other person.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, can I have that point? Because I knew it was going to be Die Hard.
No, you can't. I really want y'all to get down to neutral.
We're going to get down to neutral in this
Chuck,
one.
the biggest classic.
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
There you go. We did it. We're staying positive. And for old time's sake, for your kids that you've forgotten about that are downstairs,
Rudolph.
a children's
Rudolph.
Christmas movie. All right, good job. You got 5 points. Congratulations.
Ooh.
You did it. There's very nice music playing. Let's turn it off because now it's time to fight.
Gloves are coming off.
The
I don't know.
gloves are coming off.
We fought during the thing where we were supposed to be together. She didn't know Die Hard.
Okay, here's the deal.
No, I got it in like right before the buzzer.
No.
But he
Before
wouldn't give me
we
the
fight,
point.
y'all told me a story about the word fight earlier. Fight, fought.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Chuck, why don't you
He's
tell
gonna
that
go
story?
here.
for us?
So my super intelligent wife, who by the way has designed rockets for NASA, genius, was trying to teach my son how to rhyme. So he's learning how to rhyme, and the word was pot. So she says, Charlie, what are some words that rhyme with pot? And he says, hot. And she says, good. And she says, give me another one. He says, dot. And she says, oh, good. And then she says, give me another one. He goes, fought. And she goes, Charlie, that's not a word. And I looked at her kind of funny, but I don't want to, I don't want to argue with her in front of the child. And then a few minutes later, she gives her another one. He says, he goes, lot. And she's very good. So Charlie goes off and plays. And I look at her and say, honey, fought rhymes. And she goes, fought is not a word. And I said, what do you mean fought is not a word? She goes, fought. What dictionary is fought in? I said, like the past tense of fight, to fight. She goes, oh, you mean like I fought the guy? like I fought the guy. Her jersey just wouldn't even let her say fought. The jersey comes out, fought him. Use guys, I fought him.
I thought that was tremendous.
As I was drinking my coffee.
We're talking over
That's too
coffee.
funny.
I try to hide it well.
But like Paul, you have become all things to all people. And now you sound like a normal human being since you live in Texas. So.
She still fist pumps when she dances.
I refuse to still say the word y'all, though. I just can't do it.
All y'all.
No. I'll still stick with my use guys.
Y'all are going to play a game against each other.
Oh.
And how this is going to work. Chuck says he's an idiot. I'm still, the jury's still out. I still don't think
The jury needs to come in.
If the glove fits. So, Chuck, you're a financial guy. You have to, I don't understand finances at all. So you have to, just for my sake, to know that I'm not an idiot. You have to say you're not an idiot because I don't understand a thing that you do.
I'm not an idiot in my own realm, right? In my own realm, I'm good.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to prove once and for all. I picked 2 games. Typically the games we play, it's like, Hunger Games or Scripture. So like we play with the young people. There's like their parents or their core teams are there or whatever. So it's actually kind of even, right? So since your wife is an adult and you're a child, I thought we'd play a very similar kind of game.
That's good.
Right?
I like that.
So,
it's perfect.
And just so that you have a chance, I'm going to let you pick the game.
Okay.
I have 2 games pulled up. One of them is called Star Wars or the Bible.
Okay, I think that's going to win.
Okay, so you can either play Star Wars or the Bible, so there's going to be a quote. It's either going to be from the scriptures or from a character in the Star Wars universe. Or we can play a game called Stranger Kings about the kings of the Bible.
No, Star Wars.
I knew you were going to
Star
pick
Wars.
that one.
She'll get smoked like a cheap Cohiba.
The only reason I pulled it up is because I just wanted to say Stranger Kings on the air because that's a brilliant title. So here's how this works. You're going to guess whether the quotes are from Star Wars or from the Bible. There will be optional bonus points.
Oh.
Optional bonus points. You take a guess on which book in the Bible or which Star Wars character. So here's how this works.
Wow.
You can choose whether or not to do the bonus question. If you choose to do it, you either gain a point or lose a point.
Got it.
So you can get up to 2 points or lose the point you just got.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to go back and forth.
I'm keeping score here because Taylor specifically wants me to lose.
I do. Okay. So we're going to start with you. We're going to start with you, Annie. Yeah, the first one's maybe a little bit of a curveball. Or, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm very tired.
There is truth, goodness, and beauty in just about all things.
Oh,
so
Star Wars is amazing. So here we go. Here's the quote. Do or do not. There is no try.
Oh, Star Wars, and it's Yoda.
Okay.
Bonus point.
That's like a layup.
Annie gets 2. That's the layup. I had to give that one to her.
Woo-hoo!
All right.
That was my only freebie, I know.
That was your only
Thank
freebie.
you.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
You get a little bit of free too. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Oh, that's Yoda again. That's Star Wars.
That you are correct. So Chuck gets 2 points as well. These are actually all just Yoda. You'll see that.
I keep going with that.
Okay. Annie.
He's the Solomon of Star Wars, after all.
The Solomon of Star Wars. Oh my gosh. I'm never going to read Solomon to say that. Many concubines I have. Okay. All right, we got to finish this game. Those which perished at Endor, they became as dung for the earth.
Endor.
That's you. Oh, she doesn't know.
Those which perished at Endor, they became as dung for the earth.
Oh, she's thinking. She's deep in thought.
I don't know. Star Wars?
What's
Endor?
It's incorrect, which is crazy.
Endor is the moon where the Ewoks are, but that's from the Bible.
Endor is in Star Wars, but there's another Endor in the Bible.
I did not know that.
It's from the Psalms. So you just don't get a point. The first one's fine. Still 2-2. All right, Chuck. Your focus determines your reality.
Star Wars.
That's correct. Who said it? Would you like to answer?
No. Obi-Wan.
Oh, he loses it.
Son of a...
It was Obi-Wan's master.
Oh,
Mr. Qui-Gon Jinn. All right, it's still 2-2. Annie, forsake
I'm
the
sweating.
foolish and live, and go in the way of understanding.
The Bible.
That's correct. Would you like to guess which book?
Come on, you got this.
He just wants to lose
Proverbs.
Proverbs, that is correct as well.
Oh, man, she does got this. Should have known.
All right, Chuck, 2.5 minutes left. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven.
The Bible.
That is correct. Would you like to guess the book?
No.
Okay. It is Luke. We got to hurry up because I want Chuck to win. The light, it's always been there. It'll guide you.
Star Wars.
Would you like to guess which character said it?
I'm up by 2. No, I don't.
That was Maz Kanata.
I knew that one.
All right, Chuck, I'm counting on you, buddy.
Oh, we gotta go.
Better a patient man than a warrior, a man who controls his temper than one who takes a city.
Bible.
That is correct. Would you like to guess which book?
No.
Okay.
That's not my strength.
Okay, here we go. There's only 2 questions left.
Oh.
So, Chuck, you might have to go all out on this one. Or Annie could seal it right here. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low.
That sounds like something out of Samuel. I won't. That's not my answer, but I'm going to say Bible.
That is the Bible. Would you like to guess the book?
Guess the book.
You only
Guess
have
the
one
book.
question. You can't win even
Guess
if
the
I take
book.
a point away.
He could tie it.
Guess the book. Guess the book.
Can I hear it again?
No.
How you are fallen. She's stalling now. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low.
Oh, she's torn.
All right, Chuck, question number 10. Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Oh, that's Star Wars.
Do you know who it is?
Oh, this is gonna. I should know that one.
If you don't know it, you lose.
Son of a darn. Han Solo.
Han Solo's incorrect.
No!
Chuck, you let me down.
No, that's. Oh,
It was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
Old man Obi-Wan
In the first
Kenobi.
movie. which is the fourth movie,
which is very confusing.
Which was remixed.
The only book more confusing than the Bible. So, guys, thank you for coming on, for spending some time with us. It's been great hanging out with y'all today, and I loved having you on the show. And guys, go check out the Salt and Light podcast on iTunes. Follow them on social media. How can they find you on Instagram?
All of our social media links are on our website. You can just go to saltandlightonline.com, saltandlightonline.com.
There you go. Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate
Thanks so much, Taylor.
You're welcome for being here. I appreciate it. Guys, we'll be right back for our final segment of Forte Catholic for the day. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Taylor. I wanted to let you know that I cut this week's podcast short because I took the third segment of this week's show, and I put it as bonus content on the podcast feeds just because it has full spoilers from Star Wars The Last Jedi. I am sharing my thoughts on how the movie connects with our faith, some of the faith lessons, and interesting things in the movie that I took away from it. So if you would like to listen to that, you are more than free to do so, and I'd encourage you to do so. It's up on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, however you're listening to this right now. Go find the bonus content for this episode, and you'll hear my thoughts on Star Wars The Last Jedi.